Morning. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Jennifer. Hey.
Hi.
I am still a little shaky from my bacon and cinnamon roll thing out there. I don't know if any of you have them, but they're the world's best thing, and I'm going to tell my team never to have them again because I'm now bursting. They're so good. Thank you for joining us today. So you've been for 4 months. I just want to set the context for people. So you're down here at Atlanta. Mm-hmm. You're head of global talent acquisition for Delta,
mm-hmm.
but you've been doing this for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And how many employees?
At Delta, we have over 80,000.
So where did you just come from?
A company called Accenture.
And how many employees did you have to recruit each year?
Over 100,000. Last year, 109,000.
So she's vacationing now in Atlanta.
Semi-retirement.
Right? So, but I wanted to ask that for reason, but I'm very familiar with Accenture, and it's a really outstanding strategy and
mm-hmm.
digital company. Now you're at Delta, and you're looking at this, and we feel the kind of rush of change and technology, things happening.
Mm-hmm.
We hear about AI coming down the track. So I'm interested in what you're looking for now in terms of investments in people, and what do they need to do to raise their stock so that they make Jennifer Carpenter happy?
Yeah, well, I think the conversation starts with demystifying or debunking some myths. So yes, technology is changing all of our jobs. None of us are immune, but the robots are not coming to take our jobs, rest assured. What I find really exciting about the future of work is that as technology advances and as technology is able to now augment us in our jobs, we can really start to think about what are humans best at. It's not the dull, the dirty, and the dangerous
mm-hmm.
work. Let the robots do that. And how do we elevate the human workforce to really make humans super? So when we think about what we're looking for in talent these days, of course job-ready skills are important. Will they be able to hit the ground running? Fine. And that's where certifications and other types of experience is certainly a critical input. But as a talent acquisition leader, I'm looking for future fit.
Right.
So not just ready for the jobs of today, but do they have characteristics that make them adaptable, versatile, and curious, mm-hmm. so that they can adapt at the rate that the work that we're all going to be performing is changing.
So are there things, I walked the front row here, and I want to say hi to everybody. And I'm sure you're all cool, but the front row is particularly cool. There's some folks from the education here, there's from Strayer, there's from the Georgia Technical College System. We've got somebody doing IT training for folks, we've got adult literacy. So everyone here is actually in some element that I've met so far mm-hmm. in the education business. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested in how things have changed, because you just said something profound. You're looking for people, future fit, and you're looking for problem solvers.
That's right.
You're looking for creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the discussion that we used to talk about used to be about basic skills, reading, writing, arithmetic.
Right.
And so what has happened? What did we get wrong about how we were training people before, and how do we need to be doing it today? Mm-hmm. And I want you to talk to these folks, and because I'm going to bring them into the conversation a little bit and find out, how you can partner these efforts a little bit more.
Okay, so educators amongst this,
yeah.
You're doing mostly good, mostly right, and this is where you might be getting it a little bit wrong. One, you're not moving fast enough. You're not adapting at the same speed the world around you is changing. So over the last decade, what have we been hearing about as educators? STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, right. Okay? But sometimes we're doubling down too much into those deep specializations, and we're kind of squeezing out the curiosity in our students and young people to ask why. So, you always hear, teach to the test, because we want to measure to show progress, and that's an admirable goal. But sometimes when we're double clicking too far into one area, we're losing that broad curiosity that we really need to promote. Because pretty soon, all that STEM stuff, let the robots do that. That's what emerging technology is actually going to be able to do, that much faster than people. So I always like to say I've never met a curious computer. That's what people are good at. People are good at the curiosities. The computers are going to beat us all day long in a lot of the STEM stuff. So what we need to be fostering is the curiosity and the creativity.
I'm also interested in some of what you have said and written about, and I know you spoke at a LinkedIn conference not too long ago about about middle skills positions, and I know Jeff Weiner, the CEO of LinkedIn, has talked a lot about the middle skills arena and how people can tell their stories. Because LinkedIn used to be a kind of vanity page for people with fancy resumes, but it's become increasingly a place where people through video, can show craftsman skills, can show lots of other kinds of skills. Does that factor in at all into how you analyze a person's potential with Delta?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like a bit of a queen of the sound bites today, but I really believe that potential is greater than pedigree. And behind everybody's resume is just a person with a story to tell. So as a talent acquisition leader, we're looking for new ways of hearing people's stories. I would love to abolish the resume altogether, because it really doesn't tell us very much. There's only so much you can find out about a person from a one-dimensional piece of paper. So at Delta, and increasingly across many organizations, many of you have probably already experienced this to some degree, is digital interviewing. So really early on in a process, yes, we might still ask you to drop your resume, but we're also going to be asking you questions. Why would you like to work for Delta? Or tell us something about yourself that's not on your resume. And the candidate is then able to record themselves, even from their pocket, pull out their cell phone, and on their own time, so where they want and when they want, they can share their story. And recruiters at Delta and other organizations are relying more on those types of entrees into a conversation than just, filtering people out based on resume or where they went to school or their GPA.
Now, the other, this may be a tough question, maybe easy one. I have no idea where you're going to go with this, but a lot of CEOs today, whether it's Silicon Valley or large companies, and Delta is considered one of the best companies in the country to work for. How do you do on issues of gender parity, race, hiring people of diverse sexual orientation and other backgrounds? I mean, because we all sort of have this tension going on in the country between the norms and culture of large companies versus the kind of clash of cultures that's going on politically. So where's Delta in that?
Well,
and were you brought in to fix that?
Well, I think maybe my background appealed to Delta because of my deep passion and commitment to inclusion and diversity. At Accenture last year, we hired over 43% women, which I was very proud about, particularly making our targets a lot of momentum in the technology space. There's again, a myth that, there aren't women studying technology. Well, there are, in fact. And when we looked into our pipeline, we could see that upwards of 46% of the applicants we were receiving for technical jobs were women. So why wasn't that translating into hires?
Right.
So, you have to kind of dig in. And one reason is the people who are interviewing and are evaluating are mostly men. Right. So it gets to some of that unconscious bias that if you see a field of exceptional people, you might gravitate towards somebody that you're more comfortable with. So it's our job as talent acquisition team to, one, make sure that there's a diverse slate of exceptional people. And by exceptional, I mean coming from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different genders. It's just we don't want a homogenous list. If a slate all looks the same, something's wrong. And it's not just physically looking the same, but coming from the same schools, coming from the same majors, coming from the same organizations. So by design, diversity by design, we recruit for that. And I think at Delta, people are committed and are really awake about the need to bring in people with diversity of backgrounds. And I'm really proud. I wouldn't be at Delta if I didn't see the commitment and also be a remarkable representation of diversity within our ranks even today.
What do one of the other areas of, I think a lot about young people, in fact, there's going to be this great young guy who's from Georgia State, right? Not Georgia Tech, Georgia State, your school, right? Who's cool? There you go. Yeah, that's the Georgia Kendry's. He's a cool dude. But I'm interested in how young people bridge into these experiences so that they've had, good or mostly good training, and they get in. And a lot of the things that have been growing, but it's just such a small percentage of new employment in the country are apprenticeships. Do you have anything like apprenticeships you work with? We're
starting to. I mean, we don't have it at Delta something branded as apprenticeship, but we have seasonal seasonal employment opportunities, and also a crew of individuals called our Ready Reserve talent. These are people that are part-time by the nature of the gig, and they're able to get in and start to work at Delta and really experience what it's like to work, either above the wing or below the wing. I'm learning all these new cool aviation terms. And we find that we're converting a lot of our Ready Reserve talent into full-time ranks. Now at Accenture, we did establish a bona fide apprenticeship program. And for you in the Atlanta market here, how many of you are familiar with an organization called Year Up?
Wow.
Yeah. Is there anyone from Year Up here?
Wow.
Woo, okay. I am a
Okay,
big
cool.
Year Up fan.
Did you guys do a deal before?
No, I didn't know. I was hoping someone would be here from Year Up. So let me tell you a little bit about what Accenture's done, and many companies like Accenture is doing this. So we looked at some jobs, particularly in technology, and said, some of the work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis for our clients doesn't require a four-year college degree. So one, from a business point of view, we're overpaying for the talent. It's a competitive market for four-year college grads into these jobs as well. So can we break off work and actually create an apprenticeship program for kind of people without that four-year college degree? Maybe they have an associate's degree to get their foot in the door and start on a career path. So we partnered with Year Up. Year Up serves opportunity youth who might have some college, but not a four-year college degree. We worked with them on the curriculum to get them skilled up for the work that they are going to do. And then we brought in apprentices into our client sites, and they're working alongside four-year college degree analysts and other consulting professionals at client sites and contributing. And people are thrilled with their work that they're doing. And we hope if they do well, this will translate into full-time employment. So, no four-year degree required.
Let me ask you an Atlantic-y style question, because one of the things I'm struggling with this conversation is, on one hand, I meet so many people, like out in the audience, that are helping the workforce to become more nimble, to not just chase a college degree credential, but to learn something, to learn a vocation, to move in. And then I read stories like, just came out the other day that the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, among its editorial staff, almost everybody's from like Harvard or Yale. And so the population, so on one hand, we're telling people, oh, don't go chase those expensive degrees. They don't pay off for you. Be nimble, go do a two-year degree. And I wonder if we're somehow building in a kind of demeaning bias into the system, while at the same time we're saying, wow, that's good for the country. We're helping people find, a different pathway. And I struggle with that, because I do see how many elites are compounding and building their hives around this, and that a lot of that opportunity. So that I'm trying to figure that out. How do you square breaking, giving people an opportunity on both ends of the scale? Is that a fair question?
It is, and I think all of us, I'm sure majority of us in the room here are four-year college graduates, and we run the risk of perpetuating that culture of pedigree.
Right.
Where did you go to school? What was your GPA? And then assuming in those two questions, you've just summed up the person who's in front of you. So you just can't do that.
Yeah.
And what I love about the conversation that we're having, and what I truly do feel is with the pulse on the talent market, we're starting to think broader about what does potential look like. We're no longer just dismissing people that don't have a four-year college degree. At Delta, there's lots of career paths that don't require a four-year college degree. So I think we're opening our minds up a little bit, but all of us in the room need to continue to have this conversation back in our own home organizations, that it's about potential, it's about adaptability, versatility. It's a little bit about IQ, EQ, and LQ.
Right.
And LQ is someone's learning quotient. Do they have something in their background that shows them that they can learn something, unlearn something, relearn something, and that they just have that natural curiosity about them? That isn't highly correlated with a four-year college degree.
Right. I'm going to go to the audience in just a minute for your comments, questions, thoughts. But before I do that, our boss, David Bradley, who owns the Atlantic, he always talks about spirit of generosity in our company as being one of the ethics of the company. He also talks about hiring extreme talent, force of intellect, and he's obsessive. I feel so sorry for you having to hire 109,000 people in a year. And I mean, that's like 24, I mean.
Fortunately, not me personally.
David Bradley would make you crazy because he goes into our HR department and he talks to them, obsesses about, you know, what extreme talent looks like, how you bring these people in and identify them. So I'm just interested in the Atlanta area and really globally now, what are the top things that really hit you as you're looking at somebody about what extreme talent for Delta looks like?
So extreme talent, I think I look at those future fit characteristics because people who are applying, by and large, have the skills to do the job or they wouldn't be applying. So that's almost kind of table stakes. I mean, sometimes you get somebody who's like, wow, that's way off the base in terms of your ability to do the job you've applied for, but mostly people are applying to a job they feel they can do a good job doing. So I would look at that. Complex problem solvers. Do they have something in their background, big or small, they can say, you know, I can solve problems, I can get stuff done. I can think differently about approaching a problem. So that's that kind of cognitive flexibility and thinking in a diverse way of having to solve problems. I think collaboration is key. We all are going to need to work together. So if someone comes to me and is talking a lot about what I did, that's a big turnoff. It's what did we do as a team and how did I get help doing something? How did I raise my hand? And how did I enable others to be successful? So creativity and complex problem solving, collaborations, and I think kindness matters. Right? There's not enough kindness in the world. And when we think about our mission at Delta, to just delight our customers and anticipate someone's needs and be there, you know, with a blanket before someone gets cold, if I were a flight attendant, kindness matters. So we're also looking for those kinds of traits in people. Do they just show up as a decent human being? And that's really, you know, what I think is heartening about the future.
I love your answer. I want to just read you an email. I wasn't being rude in pulling out my iPhone while she was talking. I invited Yo-Yo Ma once, you know the famous cellist, to an education forum, and we were talking, and he wasn't able to come, but he sent me this beautiful note, which sounds so close to what you just said. He said, Steve, I'd like to talk to the group you have coming. I can't make it tonight, but I'd like to know, one, it happened to be a woman who was speaking, her position on turning STEM to STEAM, 2, the art-stimulating, passion-driven learning, and 3, arts integration in K through 12 being the most efficient way to foster the 4 qualities we most need in a 21st century workforce: collaboration, flexible thinking, disciplined imagination, and innovation. So that's from Yo-Yo Ma, very similar to what you said. He's got
Me
nothing
and Yo-Yo,
on
you know?
Yeah, so there you go. So
Like
let me open up
minds.
to the floor to questions and comments from all of you. We've got some folks with mics. I think my friend Katie over here from the literary group has a question, don't you, Katie?
Ready or not, Katie?
I love the fact that Katie was in the front row,
great.
but like the farthest away she could get over here. So you're special.
My name is Kate Boyer, and I'm with Literacy Action, and we provide free adult basic education for undereducated adults. One thing you said that was really hit me was that education is moving too slow. What would you suggest for an organization like ours? What kind of additional skills can we be teaching our students so that they're ready to re-enter?
Great question.
I think, one, you need to be partnering with organizations in your community and asking them, what do you need? When I think about what really successful companies are doing, they're reaching into that talent supply chain and influencing at its source. So Delta, for example, is partnering with university and trade schools and actually adapting their curriculum because the curriculum that they're teaching isn't meeting our need. So we're not waiting for government to solve the problem. We're getting in there and helping to be a part of the solution. So for educators, I would say go out and just start talking to business leaders, or in any, not just business, but any organization that's employing your students, and saying, where are we falling short?
Right.
I think that would probably be the best
Thank
start.
you. Right here, yes. Good morning.
I'm Hatim. I'm what you might call the Chief Operating Officer for the federal trial courts in the northern half of Georgia. Not an educator. There are many attributes that we associate with a college degree other than just technical performance education. Discipline, responsibility, collaboration, those type things that have been proven in other organizations to be an indicator of success. I'm wondering how you look for those things in people who have not had that kind of a process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a great question. And I do think people also are using college degree as a proxy for that kind of thing. Like, well, learnability. Well, did they go to college? Discipline, resiliency. If they went to a four-year college, they would have to demonstrate these. And I would say not always the case. And I'm thinking back to a number of students that I've met at Year Up who, through their life experiences, have shown enormous resiliency and grit, that kind of moxie that we need in our workforce. And so I think we need to think broader about what kinds of experiences kind of generate that. And it's not always the four-year college program that's required.
Right here. Hi, good morning.
Hello, my name is Lisa Connelly, and I'm the Associate Director of Graduate Mentoring for Georgia State. You mentioned several times future fit. And what's the one quality for the jobs that don't yet exist that you would be searching for talent for, that one quality?
Yeah. And a lot of jobs are being made as we speak. So we just don't know. We don't know how to train for them. So I think the number one for me is that curiosity and learnability, because everything is changing around us. They say the World Economic Forum, the fourth industrial revolution is unfolding in front of our eyes at a very, very scary velocity. So
for those of you who don't follow this lingo, the fourth industrial revolution is really the Internet of everything, machines to machines. It's a whole new ecosystem of industrial organization.
That's right.
I'm still trying to figure out where people fit into that. But,
well, and I think going back, it's that human-machine collaboration. I mean, I might get my statistic wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I read that I think by 2025, more people will have a cell phone in their pocket than running water in their homes. So when you think about the access to information and technology across the globe that's going to require or open up to people, with that comes a great deal of optimism and potential for humans. It's that access of knowledge and technology, but it does mean that you're going to have to cultivate a great deal of curiosity and adaptability because things are changing so fast.
I'm going to go right here, but just 30 seconds more on this. Right now, there's this massive push to push intergenerational folks from all backgrounds into coding. Coding. And I just fear this is a fad. I'm not sure. Maybe it's healthy to have that literacy out broadly deployed. But to go back to her question, can you be easily seduced or tricked into a line, given your experience, that we should be careful of as we think about what that next great talent item is in future fit?
Yeah, I mean, I think digital literacy is important.
Right.
I'm not pushing my girls into programming right now. I have 3 little girls at home. So I want them to be technically literate and have that digital literacy, which is very important. But you know what? Because things are changing so fast, I've read another study that said for a computer science major, what she learns her freshman year, 40% of it is irrelevant by senior year.
Right.
So,
right here. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Kofi Kenny, and I'm from Teach for America. I work with teachers. We place teachers in underserved areas. My question is, you talked a lot about how you're working kind of with technical colleges and developing their curriculums or redeveloping them. What type of work is Delta doing, especially since this is hub with Atlanta Public Schools, with the high schools, in order to prepare kids before they even get to technical schools? Because the path of even a technical school is a path of privilege, right? And so there's a lot of kids in our inner cities that's not even an option. So how can we begin to expose them to what you're talking about in high school?
Great question.
That is a great question. And we have our head of academic strategy here, JP. He's dead center, so I'm smiling at JP right now because he's working on this for us. Right now, we're already partnering with trade schools and community colleges, particularly around our aviation maintenance technicians, AMTs. These are people who are servicing our aircrafts. And what I love about that job is it takes about 1,900 hours of training, through one of these programs.
Right.
So it's not a 4-year college commitment, but this is a career that can support a family. So it's not a four-year college track, but it's a technical skill that we are going to be introducing even down at the high school level, so that students are aware of this pathway to a really sustainable, fulfilling career. We can do more at high school. I think we can do more. Right now, we're largely hitting the community college and trade schools, but I think we do need to dig deeper.
And just final question, Jennifer. Richard Florida has a new book out called The New Urban Crisis, in which he wrote The Rise of the Creative Class and how the creatives were moving to cities and the price of real estate was going up and they were turning, dark places in, New York. I was in the Ponce shopping area, sort of like that, turning them into kind of cool hubs for young millennial, digital mavens. And I guess my question is, how do you deal with what I would call the urban-rural divide? What's going on in cities and, talent being swept up in there. And I just worry that somehow we're missing an important part of the equation of those people that are not here. Do you think about that at all as you hire folks? Do we have a greater responsibility to change the narrative a little bit on how we talk about talent in cities? Because, there is an embedded bias in just that conversation against non-urban areas. And just in Georgia, it comes to my mind, and I'm just wondering how we can be better at it.
Yeah, so obviously, the economic hubs are typically the metropolitan areas, and you're right, there's even haves and have-nots within the metropolitan areas, but what about the great talent that's in our rural communities? So one thing about Delta is we do operate around a number of communities, as you know. So we're servicing not just, the top tier biggest cities in the country, but middle markets and elsewhere. Now, organizations like Accenture, IBM, others too, are also tapping into delivery centers that are by design in neighborhoods or in cities or smaller towns where the price for talent is a lot less expensive. Because let's face it, there's an economic argument to be made that I want to tap into highly skilled labor who are in the rural areas. And of course, technology is again a huge helper with that. When we can work from home, connect virtually, easier than, quite frankly, walking 2 doors down in my office. So technology is enabling access to opportunity, and organizations are waking up to the economic argument that they have, that with a little bit of investment, they can actually reap long-term benefits by tapping into less expensive labor.
Well, thank you. Big round of applause for Jennifer Carpenter, Global Head of Talent Acquisition. She's just moved to Atlanta. My friend Marilyn, who's out here from NPR, she used to be at NPR, she's out here, she's obsessed with Atlanta. So all you guys that are Atlanta people, please make Jennifer feel welcome.
If there are any real estate agents in the audience, I need some help.
No problem with that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.